What's good, everybody? Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Tune Check Podcast. And as always, I'm your host, Chris. So you guys already know what we're going to talk about. Like, it's all over social media, all over the news. This episode is a little earlier. I started doing this like bi-weekly thing around the summertime because, there was a lot of stuff just going on for me. But I had to make this video because it was just a lot of stuff that happened within like the past week and a half. But on this episode, you already know we're gonna talk about some news. So, I got Lil Baby, I got some Cardi B updates, got some Miguel updates. Drake just had his Iceman thing happen, Iceman episode 3. And then at the end, it's really just all about Young Thug and all of the phone calls that's been leaked, everything that he's been talking about, everything that he's been addressing, all the issues that came up with that. But before we get into this episode, just take a second, subscribe to my channel, like my videos, comments, follow me on IG and on TikTok. It don't hurt just to follow or subscribe, But let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think about the reviews. Let me know what you guys think about the episodes, anything else that you guys want me to do. And if there's anything else that you guys want to see or hear, I love doing this, so just let me know. And yes, I did add like a new piece to the wall. I don't know if you see it. This right here, the another Canvas Dawn Lego set. The Weekend, After Hours, Dawn FM, and then the new one, Hurry Up Tomorrow. I really enjoy the Canvas Dawn's like figure designs. I think it's dope. But let's get back to the topic at hand. Like I said, I got some news for y'all. So let's get started with Lil Baby. So Lil Baby canceled his Wham World Tour. He even pushed back his album, The Leaks, that was supposed to come out, I believe, on Friday. Not sure what's going on. Not sure why he canceled the tour. Not sure why he pushed back his album again. I think it's highly anticipated by some people. Like, I didn't really even know he was dropping an album until like maybe last month. I didn't even know he was on tour right now, to be honest. I thought his tour already ended like a few months ago too. Like there hasn't really been any like from what I've seen, from what I see on the internet, I haven't really heard about a lot of people talk about Lil Baby like that recently. I do see like a few comments here and there like, "Oh, where's the album?" But other than that, like a lot of people usually say that he fell off or his fall off needs to be studied. And I think it's true because I feel like Lil Baby, I feel like his last good album was probably from like 2 years ago. That was his last good album, in my opinion. Ever since then, I think he's just been like dropping like mid, to be honest. I don't know. Like, I don't really know what's happening. I don't know. Like, I mean, his music really does sound the same every time he drops an album or song. But then again, like, you could also debate that for Gunna because Gunna has like the same flow on every track. I think it's because his production is just like really good that it carries a lot of it. And Lil Baby could really just take a page out of that. But hopefully he has like a strong comeback with the leaks if it ever does come out, if he doesn't push it back again. But hopefully, his fans get it soon. Definitely, I'll check it out when it drops, obviously. But speaking about albums dropping and stuff, we have Cardi B next. So Cardi B has recently been in the news because she was on trial for an alleged assault on a security guard in LA back in 2018. So she had her civil trial. She beat the case. The security guard accused her of cutting her cheek and also for spitting in her face. So at the time that this happened, Cardi was pregnant. Everybody knew that. But Cardi beat the case. She won. Shout out to her. I think having this court case happen around the time that her album drops is like really good marketing. Obviously, like, it's a court case, like nobody really plans that, but the way that it just happened, like close to each other, I think is great. I think that's perfect marketing. And the fact that she won, considering that the album is called Am I the Drama, but she also let it be known to her fans not to bother the security guard or her family either. So I think that's dope because, like fans really do like take things to the next level. Like some of them are actually like really crazy sometimes. And another thing that she did was that she also released alternate covers of her album, which include her wearing different wigs from her being in court and also like all the faces that she made while she was in court when they was asking her questions. It's pretty funny, especially the one with the blonde wig. I would probably buy that and just hold it up whenever somebody says something that like doesn't make sense or is just weird. But I think this is all genius marketing. I think it's great. Definitely helps with the album release, since it's coming out. Like I said, the name of the album is Am I the Drama? I think that's perfect. I think this album's gonna be good. I don't know. Some people are saying that it's not. Some people were hating on Imaginary Players. Like I said on my last episode, I think it's gonna be great though. I don't think it's gonna be, I feel like people just have like really high expectations for a lot of things. And if something doesn't meet that, even by like a centimeter or like an inch or something, people just get upset. I don't know. I think it's gonna be all right. I don't think it's gonna be like the greatest album, but I definitely do think it's gonna be like far better than her first album, and I think it's gonna do numbers because it's Cardi. She's been killing it for the past couple years without music, so I think it's gonna do really well. And then the next piece of news that I got is from Miguel. So I'm actually really excited about this because I feel like I've mentioned this before. a few times. Miguel is like my favorite R&B artist. The first album that I heard from him was Kaleidoscope Dream. I know he had an album before that, but Kaleidoscope Dream was the first one that I actually like, downloaded like off like LimeWire and stuff. And I was just listening to it like every day when it came out like that. I remember I was in high school, like, and it was like one of the greatest things I've ever heard in my life. The instrumentation, the voice, the lyrics, everything was just perfect. One of the best like album listening experiences that I've ever had in my life. And that was an album that I played for months. Like that was around the time when like I'm the type of person that if I really like an album, I'll listen to it for like 2, 3 months straight. And that was one of those albums that I was listening every day, back to back for like 2, 3 months straight. I didn't care about anything else that dropped. I didn't care about anything else that was coming out, anything else that was popping. That was the album that introduced me to his artistry, and it was amazing. And then since then, I've just been a complete fan of his. But something about Miguel's music just made it like stand out to me a lot, and just was really, really different about everything else that I was like listening to and everything that I heard at the time as well. And since then, I've just been a fan. I went back to listen to All I Want Is You, some unreleased songs that he never put out. That one song on YouTube that like he didn't like making, where he was like dancing and doing like some hip hop stuff or something. His Mischief EP, all of that, bro. I was into all of that, bro. Like Art Dealer Sheet Volume 1, 2, and 3. I was there for everything. I know I kind of went off topic a little bit because, like I said, I'm really excited about this. But after 8 years, he's finally dropping an album. It's called CAOS, CAOS, and it drops October 23rd, 2025. His last release was War and Leisure, which was an amazing album. That was when I went to go see him on tour back in like 2018. Such a phenomenal album. Oh man. So I'm like really excited about this new album. He released a second single as well called Martyrs, Ride for You. And that song, I've been playing it back to back since it dropped on Friday. The song definitely reminds me of like something off Wild Heart. It has those like raw lyrics and that vibe, but also it does sound like something from War and Leisure. It's kind of like, I don't know, but it's still like a very laid back kind of track, you know? Like I said, Chaos is dropping October 23rd. I'm super excited about it. I love Miguel. I think he's fire. One of my favorite artists, like I mentioned. I hope we get a tour because I'm definitely there. Like the last time I seen him was for War and Leisure at Terminal 5, and that was probably one of the best like shows I've ever been to in my life. But just mark y'all calendars, it's happening. And then speaking about more music coming out, we got Drake next. So as you know, Drake's been active recently. He's on tour with P&D. He had an interview with Bobby recently as well that made headlines for a few days. People was like putting the pieces together in terms of their name because of Iceman. So people were like, oh, Bobby and then Drake. Bobby Drake is Iceman's real name. And I feel like people are focusing way too much on the Marvel character in regards to the name of the album. People are like, and I don't really think that's the case because Drake really has been putting up and posting a lot of celebrities with that same nickname. So I just feel like people are kind of just focusing on one thing a little bit too much. But, it is what it is. It's just another example of how like people disregard a lot of stuff. But it's the internet though. So they're going to roll with whatever they're going to think about. But during the interview that he had with Bobby, he spoke about like two things that kind of like caught my attention. Well, it was actually three. The first one being that he like made a little like this to Rick Ross. He said, "Oh, I asked all the fake jewelers about icing out rosé or something." She's basically trying to say Rick Ross has like fake jewelry, which Rick Ross responded to. Then the other thing that caught my attention was about when he was talking about his feelings towards people that, call him a culture vulture. He basically was saying that it is like a sensitive topic for him because he's helped a lot of these artists. He put a lot of artists on, and it's true, he has put a lot of artists on, and he's helped out a lot of artists. And recently, a lot of artists have been coming out thanking him, saying, "Yo, if it wasn't for him, shout out to him, this and that, the greatest artist of all time, etc." Then, last year he had like a group of people that he did help that just wanted to like start a whole rap beef with him. But he said that it makes him really sensitive, that, like after a while he just tunes it out because it is what it is. I personally don't think that he's a culture vulture. I feel like I said, he's helped out a lot of artists. But, to each his own, people are gonna always say the same thing about him just to hate on him, I guess. But it is what it is. Then the other thing that he spoke about was how he changed like a lot of artists from not going to hip hop platforms. Instead, they're just going to like streamers or like other people who like you'll never really see them link up with. Like for example, like Kai Cenat and Nicki Minaj was like an example. So he said that he changed it and made it so that artists could get like on different platforms and feel comfortable and have fun and not be asked curated questions. Because one of the main issues that people have with him is that he doesn't go talk to a lot of people who are cemented in hip hop culture. You know, people that just basically want to do interviews with him to just ask him about like the rap beef and everything, which is something that I think he doesn't want to talk about publicly. I think he wants to put it on his music. But throughout the whole entire rap beef, like nobody was really rocking with him. Like none of these hip hop journalists, none of these hip hop platforms were in regards to everything that was going on for some reason. You know, like everybody just started being biased and fake. So I could see why he wouldn't want to talk to any of them, why he doesn't want to be on a platform like that, because he doesn't want to be asked any of those questions that he's not ready to answer, I assume, or that he just doesn't want to answer yet. You know, nobody's really going to be satisfied with anything that he says or anywhere that he goes at the end of the day. And I feel like that's what he was trying to say with this whole like conversation and this whole topic. I also do agree with some of the things that I saw in regards to this, like him doing it this way, him talking to people that, you know, he's picking and choosing to talk to that aren't really going to ask him all of these like complex or like questions that like he doesn't want to answer yet, kind of helps him navigate how he wants the conversation to go. I could see how that benefits him in regards to him controlling the convo, him like just so that is kind of smart when, you know, in terms of him like picking and choosing and stuff, which is probably like the only reason why I see people having an issue with this. But aside from this, he also had his Iceman episode 3 stream on Thursday. And I definitely do think this was like one of the best ones that he's done so far. The whole stream was like 2 hours long. I did tune in for like majority of it, but like I think I tuned in for like an hour straight just to see what's going on. And then after the hour, I like checked in, then like I stopped and I checked back in again. He basically previewed 5 songs, and these are the alleged names of the tracks. The first one was That's Just How I Feel. I like the beginning of it, like the first half of it. I think the first half is fire, but then the second half, I wasn't really feeling too much. Then I think the second track was a freestyle that he was just rapping in his car. He was rapping over a beat. I actually liked how he was flowing on that. I think he did a pretty good job with it. Not sure if we're gonna get that on the album, but I mean, if we do, it's fire. Then he also previewed Somebody Loves Me Part 2. That song actually dropped on streaming, so it's on DSPs right now. I think it's fire. As soon as I heard it on the stream, I was like, yo, I need that right now because the song is tough. He also previewed a song called Doghouse We Eat, which is actually pretty good. Like, I think that's probably their best collab. Then there was another song that Eat performed by himself called Fake Friends. I'm not sure if that's gonna be on the album or if that's like a song for Eat that he's gonna have on his album. Or maybe it's one of those songs where he just sings for like a minute or something. I don't know. KD made a cameo. There was a cameo also by another model, I believe. So there was a lot of stuff that was going on, like visually. A few moments that stood out to me was the Pinocchios that were at the table. You know, they had like a little bucket of paint. You know, it looked like blood, and they were like writing legacy on the table, and then they put like ice all over it. And you guys know the Pinocchios have been like a symbolism of like, you know, the lies that people have been saying about him. People are saying that, oh, that's Kendrick, you know, chasing him with lies or this and that. So there was like 4 Pinocchios at a table. I think he's trying to say that the lies kind of tainted his legacy or are tainting his legacy. And then the ice, you know, over it, Iceman, because that's dropping soon. So I think that's gonna like help him rebuild it or something. Then there was also another part that stood out to me where he walks into like a room with like a small stage, kind of like a small theater, I guess you could say. And then there's people that are around like the balconies that like just start popping in and filling each like seat around there. Then Drake's in the middle sitting down in the chair. There's like a spotlight on him. And then there's a guy that pops in with a suit, like walking around Drake. I took that as UMG execs or like music execs, like just being around him offering stuff. And then on the small stage there was a Pinocchio as well. I took that as okay, so like we're offering you this and that, but then there's like a small stage just for you. But instead of you being there, we're just gonna fill the stage up with lies to get you out of the limelight. That's how I took it as, because at the end he does run away from them. And then he's like being followed by more Pinocchios, like 4 of them. And then they catch up to him, and then at the end he plays the outro or the intro for Iceman, and the video ends. So it's like, did the lies catch up to you, or is there still more, or like are you gonna beat it? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know what's going on with that. But you know, all the symbolisms throughout the whole thing and the beats he was just rapping over. To be honest, it sounds like it's gonna be a solid album. I kind of wish he dropped the track that he teased at the end of part 2. But I mean, if we do get a part 4, it'll probably come out in like 2 weeks or something. But I enjoyed the stream. I thought it was fire. I liked the music he was previewing. I definitely need that track with Yeet. I think that was fire. Doghouse. Doghouse is fire. But shout out to Drake. Definitely looking forward to Iceman. It's gonna be fire, I think. And then last but not least, we got Young Thug. So y'all already know what's popping with Young Thug. Y'all already know what's happening with Young Thug. Like all of these phone calls dropping, all of these things that is happening. Like So people have been coming at Young Thug online due to recent phone calls that has just been leaked that, he made while he was in jail. It all started with a 2 hour interrogation audio that was leaked where he name dropped like a lot of people that were involved in alleged crimes. You could clearly hear him say, I made promises, anything you want to know in time, I'm gonna tell you, but don't tell the world. And they ended up telling the world anyway, like 2 years later. So the convo is supposedly from 2 years ago. I'm assuming this has to do with like something else. I don't think this was necessarily like involving the YSL trial, maybe. I'm not too sure. But Pee Wee Roscoe is one of the rappers that he mentioned that he name dropped. Pee Wee went online and said Young Thug wasn't snitching because Young Thug was looking out for him and he downplayed the role that Pee Wee had in the alleged crime. Then Young Thug responded online saying that they didn't play his interrogation video in court because he was helping out his brother. And I don't really think that's him ratting. I genuinely think that's just him looking out for his mans. Cause he didn't really say nothing he ain't snitch. He ain't say nothing that was gonna get him in trouble. So I don't know like why people were assuming that he was a snitch or something, but it is what it is. You already know, like I said, it's the internet. They're gonna run with whatever narratives they want. They're gonna make their own stories up. They're gonna act like they was really there doing everything and like saying stuff, hearing stuff. Then later on, Pee Wee called Rollo, Gunna, and Lil Duke out. So Rollo made a video denying it and asked Pee Wee to square up basically. When somebody asks you to square up after you said something, I feel like there's some truth to that because you're just automatically gonna be mad and just want to fight somebody right after. So it has to be true. That's just my opinion. That's what I've seen growing up. Then Rollo ended up showing papers that exposed Young Thug for ratting in a murder case. It's not, it wasn't related to like the YSL Rico, all of that. YSL Mondo also called out Young Thug for being a rat and said that Pee Wee's brainwashed. Lil Duke then called out Yak Gotti, saying Yak told prosecutors that he gave Duke a gun to retaliate against a rival gang back in 2015. So it's like this whole thing just started like unfolding like so many other stuff. Then Thug replied to Rollo claiming that the motion was filed because the detective lied and said that Young Thug made a statement in the back of the squad car. Thug and Rollo ended up going back and forth online. But Rollo ultimately said, I feel like the energy that was given to him and Gunna should be given to Young Thug as well. And then Doug replied with, I tried to free my mans, but you tried to fry yours. I thought that was hilarious. Then Rollo ended up saying, well, it don't look like you freed him to us. Then 6ix9ine ended up chiming in. Y'all already know, like, I saw so many people say that 6ix9ine was waiting for this in the comments. Then another leaked call came out where Thug mentions Quality Control CEO P and calls him a rat. He also mentioned Lil Baby saying that that's what Wham get for rocking with them rats. Then P also has some words for Young Thug and Roscoe. And he was basically just denying everything. Then more audio dropped afterwards of Young Thug and 21 Savage laughing at Gunna's Lil Baby diss on Bread and Butter. Like that's just so random. Then another leaked audio dropped of Young Thug explaining how Gunna's plea deal gave the prosecutors ammo in the YSL case. So it basically like helped the prosecutors like confirm that YSL is a gang in a sense. Like that's what he was trying to say. So he in the audio he says you made it a Rico just by making a plea deal. And then he was pretty much just hating on him, saying, yo, I hope you don't get no more pussy. I hope you don't get no bread. I hope you don't get this. I hope you don't get that. So, Young Thug was mad. Young Thug was mad, bro. Then Thug also said that he paid 50K in bots for Gunna's Dirty Sprite Forever to be number one. I think that's crazy. After that, another phone call leaked where Thug was showing love to Drake for putting people on, saying that nobody will ever be bigger than Drake. And then he also mentioned Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick, he was like, oh, Kendrick is a superstar and ran through a few hundred M's, but he ain't put nobody on. So he pretty much was, coming at Kendrick for not putting nobody on. But then more information came out about how it turns out that Young Thug asked Kendrick for a verse and Kendrick declined it. And ever since then, people have been quoting Squabble Up where Kendrick says, hey, Doc, can I get a drop? People have been saying that he was talking about Young Thug all along, where in that verse, he also speaks about why you guys talking fed when y'all criminal or something. Then there was another audio that came out of Young Thug bashing Glorilla, and then Glorilla tweeted that this is the same guy blowing up her phone asking about her eye color. Young Thug apologized to her afterwards, saying that he wasn't in the right space at the time. Then more audio leaked where Thug was speaking about J. Cole, how he's wrong for not doing a song with YB, that YB sold more than J. Cole. He also mentioned Andre 3000 never putting anybody on there in his career. Then after all that, Thug previewed a song like on social media, online and stuff, where he was calling out all the people he thinks that are rats. I thought that was like one of the funniest things ever, but the beat was fire though. The song was pretty tough. And then there was one where he talks about Future, basically saying that Future needs to be locked in with his children and not with any females, that he's doing it wrong. He also broke down why Metro and Drake have an issue. I think we all know why they had an issue. Drake basically wanted to hop on a track that Metro was making. He hopped on it because Travis and Thug was, featured on it. Drake wanted it for his album because he wanted to show support to the Young Thug, considering that they were doing a petition at the time for not using lyrics to, prosecute rappers. And the man over the phone, speaking to Young Thug, said that would honestly help a lot, especially with his case. Metro declined. He said no. And then Young Thug was pretty much on Metro's side in regards to what was going on with him at the time because Metro's mom passed away around that time too. So Young Thug clearly says, I don't know how anybody could approach Metro about music, because he was going through his mom's passing. And I agree. But then Young Thug also mentioned how Drake could have called the president to get him out. And I think that's kind of weird because Drake ain't even American, he Canadian. So I'm just like, how is that going to work? But it is what it is. Well, there was another leaked audio speaking about how a female was posting up pictures in, one of his homes a few days before, like he got locked up and Mariah the scientist confronted him about it. So he pretty much admitted to cheating, I guess, and he was just apologizing to her. He released like a whole apology like earlier today. But like I said, Thug also was on a podcast. It was supposed to drop on Monday, but ended up dropping on Saturday, where he pretty much was talking about all the leaked audio, that he's not really happy with it because it reminds him of the time that he spent in jail, reminds him of that mentality, and he didn't like it. So on this podcast, he also spoke about Gunna. He got a little emotional, said that he loves Gunna, that he doesn't, hate him, that Mariah the scientist helped him find that out, that he's upset because he lost a brother to betrayal. He feels like Gunna betrayed him, taking a plea deal and everything. Then he also said that Gunna would have testified against him, that he believes that. He also said that, like he did a lot for Gunna, he helped pay for half of his mom's crib. He did a lot for his career. He like put more time into him than his own children, building them up and stuff. And that's crazy. So he has every right to feel how he feels in regards to Gunna. I mean, he talks about Future still and then Drake, but I feel like all of these like conversations, I feel like he already spoke to all of them about everything because they still like made music afterwards anyway. But I don't think this affects his career like negatively at all. I feel like somebody's just releasing all of this stuff just to make him look bad, but I don't think it's gonna work. I feel like once he drops like his album, everything's gonna be fine. I don't know why they're dropping the audio. He must have pissed somebody off, or somebody really just got hired just to like drop audio like twice a day for like the past week. I don't see this ending anytime soon. I feel like more stuff might come out. But like I said, all I think he needs to do is just drop an album, address everything on there, have come with fire music, and I think he'd be all right. It is entertaining though, I'm not gonna lie. It is like when I was like hearing everything, seeing everything online, like it was very entertaining to me because it's just crazy how like people just say stuff about everything. And oh my God, the memes, bruh. The memes that they've been using, yo, my favorite one is the meme of him with the one with the Summer Walker album cover over it. Bro, that is so hilarious to me, yo. I don't know who made that, but shout out to them. That's a gem. That's fire. I think it's hilarious. But like I said, this episode comes to a close. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, comment, let me know what y'all think. Let me know what you guys want me to do. Let me know how I can improve. Hope you guys all had a great weekend that just passed. Hope you guys all have a great week ahead, and I catch y'all next time. Peace.